A lot of people talk about personal brands.
I
People are
hate
making,
that. I hate
oh,
that.
you hate it.
All that's left of your personal brand eventually is going to be a fucking tombstone. Over 6 months later, it's averaging over $1,000 a day. So kids, if you get fired, don't freak out. It'll lead to something better.
What an exciting interview I have for you all today. Thank you for joining me. My name is Wayne Veldsman, and you are listening to Journey to Legacy with me. I have Mr. Colin McIntosh, a serial entrepreneur who currently is focused mostly on his two companies, Sheets and Giggles. They're actually a eucalyptus sheets and bed company that's actually changing the world. You gotta wait and hear everything that he is up to, as well as he's focused on sheetsresume.com, where not only is he helping people to develop the best resumes in the world, writes the most popular resume advice on the internet, is what Colin is coined for. They are making such a huge impact. Colin is a wealth of knowledge. The amount of clips that I'm excited to pull from this interview is unreal. Stick around until the end. You're really, really going to enjoy this interview with Mr. Colin McIntosh. Colin McIntosh, serial entrepreneur. Sheets resume is your newest thing. Sheets and Giggles also. What, since 2018, you guys took off like pretty quick. What, 2020 you had your first $1 million sales month?
Yep.
Impressive. And he said now you're 34 years old and you're running multiple businesses. Man, thanks for being here. Thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to be part of the show. And yeah, it's already been a busy morning, so it's never a dull moment in my life, I feel.
Yeah, that's a blessing and a curse sometimes, right? As like a serial
Yeah.
entrepreneur, can't sit still. You think that's like why you start so many businesses?
Oh, you mean the unmedicated ADHD? Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think that's definitely I try to make it a superpower, but it's both things.
It's both things. I mean, it seems to me like you're
Yeah.
making it a superpower, right? Or am I wrong?
I mean, I think that I get into these like really big fits of creative energy, usually at night, which I hear is like pretty common for people with ADHD. Like right around 9 or 10 o'clock, I get this massive burst of, I have to be working, I have to do something, and I'll
Mm,
work some nights till 4 or 5 in the morning,
man.
just like obsessively. And I think that that's definitely a part of it. Is like eventually you do all your to-dos on one thing and then it's like, all right, well, let me do another. And so that definitely piles up. I think a lot of people can probably commiserate with me whose brain chemistry is similar, that like they look up after a few years and they're like, wow, I have so many things that I have to take care of now because I've just added so much to my plate. So I'm actually actively working on uncomplicating my life a little bit right now. So
Interesting, right? So literally like ADHD causing these fits of energy, or just like I used to call it restless productivity. That's
yeah.
how I like to
Yeah.
think about it. But interesting to hear you say that now it's like sort of like piled up that you're almost trying to cut back.
Yeah, I cut back maybe is the wrong word. My wife and I, for example, we started a compost project in Colorado. That again, restless productivity. I can't help myself. She's talking one day, she comes in, we've got a compost bill for the compost company that we're working with. It's about 3 years ago now, and she says, hey, they've raised our bill to like $40 a month or whatever. And I was
Mm,
like, this is ridiculous. $40 a month. They've never done any referral marketing. They've never sent us an email to get somebody signed up in our townhome community. They've never, I started listing off all the problems with their business model. And then I was like, you know what? Give me a second. And I wrote a business model for a compost company. She then later incorporated it and we grew it to in the hundreds of customers. Um, and, and then I was like, okay, no, this is ridiculous. I don't have even 2 hours a week for this. Like, I don't even want to spend time on this. So we ended up selling that to a large compost company out in Colorado. So that, just something silly and stupid like that. Like, that's exactly how all my great ideas happen, is something will bother me or annoy me, or it'll just like be an epiphany, and then I'll feel compelled to do it. So
something will
that's the,
bother you and you'll just get
so,
hit the
yeah,
ground running.
Just accidentally starting companies. Yeah, exactly. Accidentally grew my way into, a couple hundred clientele in the area. So,
Nice. All right, well, tell us a little bit more
yeah.
about what are the main companies that you're working on, whether you started them by accident or not. Give us a little bit of
Well,
a rundown of what you're up to.
I think that's all my companies seem like happy accidents. I very very Bob Ross of entrepreneurs, I guess. But
The
basically,
accidents.
Sheets and Giggles is my main company. We do sustainable sheets, mattresses, pillows, comforters, all made out of eucalyptus trees, as well as other plant-based materials. No, we don't do any polyester sheets or cotton sheets or anything like that. And our sheets are amazing for hot sleepers. They're naturally softer than cotton. I've been doing that for about 7 years. We were on Good Morning America last month for Sleep Week. It's been very, very fun, very rewarding company to work on. We've donated over $250,000 to charity. We make our pillow in Denver with formerly incarcerated Coloradans, pay them a living wage, lowers recidivism, lowers homelessness. Um, and so I really adore Sheets and Giggles. That's my main company, my baby. I started that in 2017, 3 weeks after I got laid off from my last company. And then what I spend my nighttime hours on now, I guess, maybe 5 or 10 hours a week when I have the time, is a passion project that I just adore, which is called sheetsresume.com, which is a stupid name, but similar how, there's the My Pillow guy or the Pillow guy. I'm the Sheets and Giggles guy. I'm the
The
Sheets
Sheets
guy.
guy.
Everybody on the internet calls me the Sheets guy. So that's just who I am at this point. It's okay. I'll wear it. It's my identity. And so everything I do is the Sheets blank. And so I wrote this incredible resume guide on Reddit like 7 years ago, some random Saturday morning, where I was like, a bunch of people had asked me for resume reviews because I had left a comment on some post. And then I was like, all right, well, I can't do resume reviews for all these people, so let me just put my resume guide out there. It's very straightforward. It's free. Here's a Microsoft Word download link, and it exploded in popularity. It
Wow.
was the number one post on the job subreddit for a very long time. Um, I've maintained that thread, answering tens of thousands of questions over the last 7 years, which has kept it very updated and fresh in Google's algorithm. And now I think it's the number one result when you Google like resume template Reddit. I think it's the third result when you Google resume template just in general.
Wow.
And so last year, my friend called me. He said, "Hey, we were doing one-on-one resume reviews for people in our spare time just to try to help
Mhm.
people out, but we could never do the volume that we were being asked to do. And then more heartbreakingly, we still had to charge for our time. So we were charging, $300 or $400 to people, and so many people couldn't afford that. And so my friend, who is also a former recruiter, I was a recruiter earlier in my career. He asked me if we wanted to build a AI wrapper for all my best resume advice. And I said, yeah, let's do it. So he and I built that together. We launched it in August. And now, just over 6 months later, it's averaging over $1,000 a day. And that's really cool. That's like really awesome side income, side business. And it's growing. I mean, we're getting linked more places. We're getting affiliate marketing now. We're giving 50/50 referral program to all of our users. So like, and that's the best part about it being a side business and being a
Yeah. Yeah.
passion project is I actually just did this to help people because when I was a recruiter earlier in my career, it was so exhausting emotionally to get these people reaching out to you saying like, "Hey, I'm looking for a job. I can't pay my rent. My family doesn't have health care." It was
Mm.
just draining. And I couldn't help everyone because that wasn't my job as a recruiter. My job was to get placements. Well, now my job is to sell bed sheets. So I don't really care about like I don't have a job trying to help people. So from what I do is anybody who can't afford the resume builder, it's like a $99 lifetime fee. I just give it to them for free. I just say, email
Oh,
me and I'll give it to you for free. I can't afford to give it away en masse because, there are costs associated with that.
sure,
But
sure.
anyone who asks gets it for free. And that is so incredibly cathartic after all these years. I probably give away like 10 or 20 memberships a day.
Wow.
And the stories I get from people, whether they've been laid off, government employees, or they're starting a new career somewhere and they don't know how to transition, or they're an entrepreneur who's been a CEO for 10 years and now they have to go back into the private sector workforce. Everybody's got a story, and I think it's really, really powerful for me every day to wake up to a bunch of those stories in my inbox, and not just from people asking for it for free, but from our users who say like, "Hey, thank you so much. This is amazing." They leave a review, so that really gets me out of bed in the morning, which is hard on account of the sheets. So that's bring it all together. Yeah. So I'm a very eclectic person. You can hear when I talk. I've got a lot of things going through my brain all at once, um, and sometimes it's debilitating, especially I
Mm,
think for my wife.
mm,
But other times it's very freeing because I feel like I get to connect these dots. And what I've learned about a sorry, last note, and then I'll shut up. What I've learned about a passion project and side business is that it actually makes me a lot better as a CEO and entrepreneur of my main company because I get to try so many things that are low stakes that don't cost very much money with this other business where I'm like, ah, yeah, you know what? I will try that. I've never tried that sponsorship over here. I've never tried that channel. I've never tried this agency, this thing. And then I find stuff that works and I'm like, oh, great. Now I can go do that at scale over here at Sheets and Giggles. And so that's been very fun to have this like second playground to be able to experiment with that's very low stakes.
yeah, nice. So when you're saying low stakes, it's not necessarily just low cost, but it's what all the brand reputation, or what do you mean?
Yeah, it's low cost, no brand reputation worries. It's a passion project. It's fun. If it fails, whatever, like you know what I mean. Like it's just or there's no investor expectations or ROI needs. It's just my little thing, and I think that
Yeah.
that's very fun to have that to like. I've done a lot of experimentation with different advertising channels. I've done totally different brand ambassador type program. I've created my own referral network, and also now working with software engineers on this side. I'm now able to work with them and say, "Hey, can you help me out with some projects over here on the S&G side?" And because we're working so well together, they're happy to do it. So there's like all these different things that come together, and then of course, the people who do the resume builder understand who I am and where I'm coming from, and so a lot of them, become customers of S&G on the other side where they're like, "Hey, I want to support your other business endeavors." So there's nice synergy there, I think, especially it's hard for an entrepreneur, I think, from like there's like a guilt level of like I should be spending every waking moment working on like my
Mm,
main thing. Like I hear this a lot with founders. Like
mm,
I should be if I'm awake, I should be working. And if I'm working, I should be working on the one thing. But there's so much burnout that happens with entrepreneurs and founders over the years of working on like this one thing. And so many times people will fall out of love with it, and it's because of that like endless like repetition, like wake up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, oh, you're going to work through the weekend, are you going to work nights on this? And so to have another outlet for my creative energy that's totally different has been such a godsend, and it's made me, I think, a much better CEO and a much better founder overall.
nice, nice. Yeah, having another outlet to go try things, pivot your energy towards this new, what you refer to as the side hustle, right? Sheetsresume.com. Colin, here's something interesting. You just mentioned founder's guilt leading
Yeah.
towards burnout, right? I mean, I'm curious how we can like prevent this, right? Because a huge piece of our audience are like new entrepreneurs that are just getting going. Is there something that we can do ahead of time to know like it's okay to not necessarily work every single waking hour? Or is that you're here today because that's kind of just what you were doing anyways? What's the right path to take?
I think there's got to be a real clear delineation in people's minds between goal and task. And I started my
Mm,
career at the world's largest hedge fund, Bridgewater Associates. I got fired in 5 months. Best thing that ever happened to me. So kids, if you get fired, don't freak out. it'll lead to something better. It must, right? Because it means that you reached a breaking
Must.
point at that place. Um,
Must.
so I think that the goal task confusion is really crucial, and I think about that all the time. My goal is to help other people get through existence because existence is suffering, to quote the Buddha. And people all over the world are, suffering, trying to get through life. Now, life, there's plenty of joy, right? Joy is the absence of suffering, and like joy is what I think people have to really focus on in their life. But so many people out there are hurting. And for my sleep company, for example, like if I'm helping people with eczema, multiple sclerosis, ALS, menopause, sleep through the night and get that. I have a herniated C6-7, right? I have sleep deprivation. I wake up in pain. It is torture to go weeks on end without a good night's sleep. Um, and if I can help people do that with my pillows, with my mattresses, with my sheets, and I've done that now for hundreds of thousands of people, it is so meaningful to me in my own way to be impacting that portion of their lives. Additionally, with donations to charity, we've donated $250,000 to charity, making our pillows of formerly incarcerated persons, changing their lives. That is so important to me, right? Um, on the resume side, this is we live in a country very uniquely where if you lose your job, your 2-year old could lose their access to a doctor,
Yeah,
and
once.
which is don't get me started on that. It's
Crazy.
insane. How good you are at selling bed sheets determines your child's access to a doctor. Like how backwards is that? And so for me to have this other thing where I can help people find employment, get health care, get a salary, get a stable job, um, and I can give that away for free because of the bed sheets that had enabled me financially to not need to charge everybody for that resume builder. And then the compost business with my wife, we diverted over 100,000 pounds of food waste from landfills, right? Brought it to small farms, turned it into fertilizer. So for me, my goal is to help other people and to make the world a better place than I found it. And I can do that by picking up food waste, trash. I can do that by changing people's career trajectories. I can do that by helping people get 8 hours of sleep every night. And that to me is like my goal. And so
Mm,
to help prevent burnout, founders need to ask themselves, am I achieving my goal? Am I doing
mm,
what I was put on earth to do, spend my days doing, my time doing? Because if you fail trying to achieve your goal, it's okay because you're still going to go out and achieve that goal another way. There's going to be another business, another charity, another volunteer project, another thing that you can do in the future if your business fails. And I think that fear of failure is what drives that burnout because people get the business, which is a task,
mm.
obsessed in their mind versus the goal. They're like, this task is the most important task for me that I'm focused on right now. When in reality, it's just one way to achieve your goal. And so I think if founders really focus on their goal, the tasks become less emotional and they become less attached to them. And then that will help them avoid that burnout where you're just doing the same thing every day on this hamster wheel because you see this task right in front of you and you can't stop.
So it's the versus looking right in front of you at the task, the hamster wheel that you can't stop, to expanding your horizons to see the bigger picture goal, right? What
Just
is
to
the
have just
difference
to
that
have
you're
that
trying to make?
understanding. Just have that understanding that like your business is one of many ways to achieve your goal. And
Mm,
it's okay if you do other things that also achieve your goal because you're still doing what
nice.
you set out to do on Earth. And so, yeah, it's. I think that people can make their business their whole identity. I know that's ironic because
Yeah,
I'm the Sheets
yeah.
guy, right? I just said that. Um, I think that that's another thing is like, don't make it your whole identity. Like, don't post on Instagram only about your business. Like,
Mm,
don't do those LinkedIn lunatic posts. Like, don't sell your soul for that shit. Like, it's not worth it to be like, my wife gave birth and here's what it taught me about B2B SaaS. I don't like, um, have some other hobbies and other things like that. Like I'm very busy person, but I also make time for my wife, my dog, my family. I've got a nephew and a niece who are young, playing baseball in the yard with my nephew the other day. That's the type of stuff that I post about is like Easter with my family or,
Nice.
yeah, like a nice boat day with friends or a nice new restaurant or something like that. Or
Mm, mm,
yeah, I don't know. I almost never post about my business.
mm.
And it's funny because my friends will ask me like, "Hey, how's business? I haven't seen anything in a while." It's like, yeah, I don't post about it very much because I don't want my identity to be wrapped up in work. And I think that that's been a very
Nice.
conscious decision for me in my late 20s and early 30s.
Nice. Let me ask you this. So right now, a lot of people talk about personal brands, right? And I think
I
people are
hate
making,
that. I hate
oh,
that.
you hate it. How come?
Sorry, sorry. I hate it. I hate it because we. Sorry, I literally just jumped down your throat before you finished the question.
No, love it. That's
Um,
where I was going. So perfect. I was going to ask you your opinion.
I I think that we have a tendency to commercialize fucking everything. And I
Mm,
don't know if that's an American thing
mm,
or what, but we have this weird obsession with like, oh, do you like making like dolls? You should start an Etsy store. Oh, do you like make shoes for your cat? That's so cute. You should start an Etsy store. Like, do like, and I've done it. Oh, do you like doing resume reviews for people? You should charge for that. You should. Now, there's like you shouldn't give your time away for free to quote the Joker, right? Like if you're good at something,
mm,
never do it for free. But like, you know, I think that like we don't have to commercialize every aspect of our being.
mm.
And to do a personal brand where it's like, yeah, I'm building my personal brand. Like I get it. Like you get your followers, you monetize your followers, but God, what a hollow way to go through life where it's like every little thing has to be about are you
Money.
maximizing your output? And it's like, yeah, money and output and your taxable income and like all like and a lot of these people have enough already. That's the other thing is like,
Mm.
what is enough? Like, do I
What is
have to
enough?
like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't post I like and I think sometimes like personal brands can be good vehicles to help people. So like,
Sure.
like on LinkedIn, for example, I look, I'm Sheets and Giggles. Like that's my thing. I'm all in on it, right? So
Sure.
I don't post about the resume stuff on LinkedIn because I don't think that it's something that I want to make like my core thing. I want to
Mm,
be known for the company that I'm very proud of that I spent all my time on that I, fell asleep at 4 in the morning with my laptop on my stomach and woke up at 7 a.m., drank pre-workout and kept doing it. Like, I love Sheets and Giggles and that's who I am. And I love that brand. But I got 7,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I certainly could post about the resume stuff and reach more people and help more people. So I think you have to ask yourself, why are you building a personal brand? Is it to reach more people and help more people because you have something that you think is so valuable that like you need people to see this and you help people, or is it so you can get leads to convert? And if it's to get, and that's why I don't do the LinkedIn stuff because I feel like it would be mostly to get leads to convert. And I don't want or need that.
mm.
And I don't know. It's almost like not to get philosophical, but like it's the reluctant king, like the person who's most suited to lead is the one who least wants to do it. I think there's something of that in here. I don't want to do it. Like I don't like it hollows me out on the inside to think about like posting every day about something else that I learned or like a new lesson or something like that. Like we are on this earth, like our atoms come together in this combination of Colin or Wayne for an incredibly brief moment of universal
Sure.
time.
Sure.
And like, I want to get off my phone. I don't want to get sucked in. I want to get off the laptop. I don't want to get sucked more into it. And like, I feel like that's what. So if I could put it very succinctly, it's like we weren't created or put on into this existence to build a personal brand. Like you're all that's left of your personal brand eventually is going to be a fucking tombstone. You know what I mean? So like, don't, like, don't. It's like life's way too short to be like, here's everything I learned about, this situation or whatever. So anyway, go ahead. That's
Life's.
I can't stand
I,
them. It feels hollow to me. It really
no,
does.
hey, I'm right there with you, right? It's this constant struggle for me. I think probably for most people that are listening, especially most new entrepreneurs, right? It's man, if I build an audience, then I can monetize the audience, right? It's like, so should I do it? But then at the same time, he said, it's like, get off of the phone, get off of the computer. I was hiking with my brother this past weekend, and I asked him a question.
Here's what it taught me, and here's what it taught me about B2B SaaS. No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Go. Yeah. It was like it was beautiful mountaintop view, and I thought, no, sorry, go ahead.
Pretty much, right? It's an interesting balance. But I asked him a question. He actually was wearing the new Meta Ray-Ban sunglasses,
Oh, cool,
right? Taking
cool.
photos, which we love it because it doesn't pull you into your phone, right? You can
Yeah,
take just
yeah.
photos and videos, and you can actually keep looking at this amazing experience
Eh,
instead of having to
Instead
go
of
into. Yeah, right. And like he took this photo, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's interesting. What does it even come out as? What does it look like?" And I accidentally pulled him into his phone, and then all of a sudden he like
mm,
saw something else, and he like started responding, and I like felt so bad about it. I was like, man, like
mm-hmm.
this is we're out here for life, like to appreciate what's around us. And I just pulled him into technology, and so yeah,
It's so hard because
brand experience.
well, everybody's trying to financialize everybody else, and I think that that's
Mm,
like the really tough thing about modern existence is like you're the product, you're the service, you're the supply, you're the demand, and I just don't think people were meant to live this way. Like and you can see it in output levels. Like the average worker's output is like 6x what it used to be, but I think the average wage is only like 2x in that same time frame. Um, like we have serious like problems in our reality in terms of like the society that we built for ourselves here. And I think that the phone addiction is a big thing that I'm actually doing this new thing where I'm doing one day on and one day off. So every other day, I just
nice.
will not use my phone all day.
Wow.
And that's been really, really helpful. And, I still have my laptop and, I can do what I need to do. Um, but I'm so burnt out by it. I'm only 34. And I'll tell you what, the pace at which this stuff moves, like I know some 21-year-old entrepreneurs that are so gifted and deep with like AI, the crypto stuff, WAP, Discord, and I grew up on uh, when I was 21, we had like Facebook and that was it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then like a couple years later, when I was like 23, it was like, oh, Instagram, like that's cool. Like
Mm.
now it's like you've got to speak this whole different language if you're going to stay on it and relevant. And I think it's like going to be really bad for Gen Z and Gen Alpha entrepreneurs. Um, I think
What
it's
do you
going to
think's
be
gonna happen?
exhaust. Yeah.
What's happening to human connection right now?
Ooh. Uh, there's a lot in that question. I think it's hard to put into words because it is so overwhelming, the feeling that I get when I use ChatGPT to help me think my way around a problem instead of my own brain, or I
Mm.
see my friends or my wife asking for medical advice or something like that, or I see the younger entrepreneurs, the speed at which they move and they have to move in order to stay hyper aware and hyper relevant. Um, we're just moving into the always on, never off, I think, phase of our existence. And you can't look away for 20 minutes because if you look away for 20 minutes, you may have missed an opportunity. Um, you may have fallen behind the competition. We're in this like zero sum game theory experiment right now where if you're not winning or if somebody else is winning, you're losing. And I think that that's
Incredible.
actually that's the overarching problem in society right now is we've moved from like a positive sum high trust society to a low trust, zero sum society. And it's like one giant game of prisoner's dilemma where if you try to cooperate, you get crushed. And you always have to confess, or like you always have to compete. And it's competition is great uh, for innovation and for free markets, and it creates a lot of really interesting things. But I don't know if we have the right philosophies in place to describe what it's like to compete in the year 2025 and beyond. Because you're not just competing with humans anymore either. Soon you'll be competing with machines that are
Yes.
awake 24 hours a day, that are always on, that never need a break, that never have to eat, that never have to emote, um, that never want more for themselves, or at least not in the beginning. Um, and I saw like Thailand starting to roll out police robots and stuff, and
Man.
um, yeah, we're in a brave new world, man, and like literally, I think we're getting into the novel, and I'm pretty freaked out about what it means. I don't think it means anything good. That being said, I know that there will be massive advancements in medicine, physics, astronomy, yeah, astronomy. Um, so there's things to be excited about. I just don't think that human society is where we want it. How can I put this? We're not where we need to be for these advancements to actually really benefit
Mm,
our lives. I think that we're
mm,
right where we are as a society means that these advancements will make our lives worse. And I think that that's the best way I can put it into words is like if we had a different
mm,
society, these advancements could be world changing for our quality of life and existence on the planet. And instead, I really fear you've got this cascading. Now you just got me started on my like my political philosophical soapbox, but we've got this cascading problem set of people who need to work to pay rent, obviously. You need to work to have health care. You're going to get massive layoffs when it comes to AI, hiring freezes. Startups hired more people in January 2022 than the entirety of 2023 and 2024 combined. So in 1 month
wow.
in 2022, they hired more people than the following 2 years. You have an increase in interest rates, a tightening of capital. You've got a bunch of layoffs happening in the public-private sector. You've got all these different factors starting to coagulate, and I think it's going to lead to like a pretty nasty reality in the very near future, and then we'll do something about it. But humans don't do anything. We're like incredible procrastinators. We won't do anything about it until it's just too late. And I'm probably a little too close to it because of the
So,
resume business.
sure.
But I see this stuff happening all at once. So sorry, you asked me a big
It's
question. I gave
no,
kind of
I like it. I
a
like it. I did ask you a big question. Let's take two steps back here though, right? Because Colin,
cool.
you're a great example, and you are doing things to help people, to help humanity, right? From the outside perspective, oh, Colin the Sheets guy, Sheets and Giggles, right? Sure, okay, it's sustainable eucalyptus sheets, great. When you dive into it, right, you're doing so much more. Same with Feet's resume, right? The reason behind it is good. And so, could we make the argument that there's more of you out there that exists that we maybe don't know of?
Yeah, I think that's a good and that's a maybe a prideful answer of like there are more of me. We should find them. But no, it's
I'm teeing
but
you up, man. I'm teeing you up here.
you are teeing me up. Like it's like, oh yeah, there are more Colin McIntoshes, aren't there? No, but I think that yes, it will never be a better time than right now. And I say it in the future as well for solopreneurs, for entrepreneurs getting started without access to capital, resources, teams. Like we are going to unleash a wave of solopreneurs. So there's going to be a massive fragmenting of the agency space, of
Mm,
the software space. There's going to be endless competition for every single vertical, and it's going to drive business surplus down. It's going to drive consumer surplus up. Um, It's going to drive prices down. There's going to be a bunch of good things to come from that, and a lot of empowered people who would not have the resources to start their
Mhm.
own business otherwise. So definitely in
Facts.
that regard, absolutely. I think long term, I can already see the consolidation happening as that it like first it's democratized, right? And it's fragmented and it's beautiful and it's fun. Like think about the early internet, right? There's endless blogs and services and websites, and oh my God, anyone can start a company, anyone can deliver cakes online, anyone can do this and that. And then it's you start to consolidate, people go out of business, people get bought, and then capital becomes king. And you wind up having this incredible consolidation of power that keeps new entrants out. So my great fear and what I would want to see some type of rules and regulation around is how do we avoid using AI as the greatest artificial barrier to entry of all time? Because that's what
Mhm.
large corporations do is they will construct artificial barriers to entry for new entrepreneurs. And so AI will certainly empower many more Colin McIntoshes and other people that didn't have the tools to start their own businesses, but I think eventually they'll be crowded out and blocked from starting as, oh, if you don't have $1 billion data center, well,
Fair.
you can't compete with these guys on speed or performance or compute or whatever it is. So,
Mhm.
and as long as it's affordable and there's access, like, like as long as there's like a Shopify type platform for AI or like, something like
Nice.
that, I think that that's a really good outcome. I just worry about consolidation and artificial barriers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Because big
yeah,
corporations could
it,
take it away, right? Like you said, they could create this artificial barriers. And
they'll
so
try. They'll
now,
try.
yeah, right. And so this
Yeah.
concept of more solopreneurs can can pop up, right? It's
It,
easier than ever, right? Like when you said when the internet came around, but it could be taken away. And so here's a, yeah, I'm so sad that we're already starting to run out of time. Like, Colin, we're gonna have to chop it up some
I, I
more,
can
man.
I can go a little longer if you need, but yeah,
Honestly,
I feel you.
it's a blast chatting with you. And so, okay, here we go. Ready? More and more solopreneurs are going to pop up. Let's just say we're, the barrier to entry that these huge corporations are going to lay down. We'll just say it's in the way too far future. We're not talking about that for the moment. Okay. For now, AI is allowing more people to be more productive,
Yeah,
right? Accomplish more, which is great, right? Here's my two-part question. One, it's going to cause people to be always on and never off. That's what you mentioned to me earlier. But now, two, you told me a key lesson that you've learned in life is that work has to be a means to an end.
yeah.
How do we combine these two things?
Oh God. I don't. Can you? I don't know if you can because that I think that's my great worry is that like if you have to be always on and never off. And I saw this great post on Reddit the other day. It was like new startup announces that they can, with lucid dreaming technology, you can work in your sleep. And
Jeez.
everyone's like, oh God, because you have this game of prisoner's dilemma, right? Where it's like, well, if you don't do it, your competitor will do it, and if you don't do it, some other employee will do it, right? Right,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's why we have minimum wages. It's always a race to the
Mhm,
bottom, right? It's always a
mhm.
competitive race to the bottom, and so I don't know if you can combine those two things because they seem at odds. They seem dichotomous to me.
So
So,
then maybe where's the
um,
sweet spot? Maybe saying how do we combine them was the wrong question, right? And maybe if you first just define to us, what do you mean by this key lesson, right? Work has to be a means to an end.
it has to be a means to an end. It's another lesson in goal task confusion is like work is not the end. Like
Mm.
productivity, increased social good, social output, like those are ends. Like things that like actually have tangible impact on the world are ends. Um, the work that you do is just a task, it's just the means. So I think that people really confuse that where they'll get caught up in their work and their job and that sort of thing, and then that becomes their whole identity and existence. And they lose sight of like the whole reason they set out to do the thing in the first place. So
Nice. Okay.
um goals are really
Mm,
important. I think
mm,
for most
mm, mm.
entrepreneurs a common goal and a common through line is they are tired of taking orders from somebody else. and they want
Yeah.
to work for themselves, and they are going to take a chance in order to never have to follow an order again. Um, I think that's a very common through line. So keeping that goal in mind, I think, is important. And then, the always on, never off. I think that's like what'll end up happening if we allow it to go down that path is even if you're not taking orders from somebody else, you're still trapped. You're still trapped.
There we go.
And I think that trap of the 9 to 5 life, or like having that boss, or like taking that order that you disagree with, banging your head against the wall for somebody else for 8 hours a day, and you're not even, building your own wealth or your own equity. Um, that's a trap. And then so is the endless work cycle where you have to be always on, never off, even if you're doing something that you're put on earth to do. If you're always on, never off, I think
Same
that it's a
trap.
trap. Same trap. So that maybe it's not that you can make them coexist, but like just recognize that I think they're one and the same. Maybe that's a
Well,
good way to put it. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a great way to put it, right? I think this is too great. It's funny earlier, you're like, not to get too philosophical. I think that's kind of the level that we're at and that we need to be at, right?
I think about this stuff all the time. It's like my wife is like exhausted by it. She's like, you can't always look at a sunset and have this like really dramatic like thought going through your head. I swear it's like a disability. Like it's like I go through life with this incredibly, and I'm sure a lot of people do this too, this like frequent sense of amazement, wonder, dread, ennui, melancholy. I feel so much like all the time, and it's really it's obnoxious, frankly. I want sometimes I just want to like look at a sunset without thinking about like I wonder if my atoms came from that ocean or that river or that rock, or like where where they'll go when I'm gone, and like where I'll come back to. And I have this sometimes I'll tell you, man, like I get my food at a restaurant or something. Okay, I was at the airport the other day in Atlanta, 8:30 in the morning. I just taught the entrepreneurship class at Emory, and I'm coming back to Miami from Atlanta. I was in Colorado the last 10 years. I just moved to Miami to be closer to my family where I'm from down here. Um, and I'm flying back from Emory, and I'm in the airport, and I'm getting a breakfast burrito, and I'm standing there. It's like 8 in the morning, and I'm watching these people behind the counter work their fucking ass off, just trying to keep up with the hordes of people screaming for their morning coffee and their sandwich and their croissant. And these people are just moving and running,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're going to be on their feet moving at that pace for the whole 8 hour shift with one 15 or 30-minute break in the middle. Those are the hardest jobs, I think, in our society, along with like things like construction, manual labor. Like they're the hardest fucking jobs. And those people get paid like like I don't want to say it, but they don't get paid what they should earn. And I have this thought, this like overwhelming sense of sadness of like, this is gonna sound so like I hope people hear this and be like, that's a nice thought, and not like, wow, this guy's so fucking like caught in his own head. Um, but I think billions of years of stardust and cosmic creation and time, and you get this combination of atoms for this brief moment, and they have to get screamed at by people they'll never see again all day, serving them their food on their feet, exhausted, getting paid the worst wages in society. And I'm like, just it's 8 a.m. and I'm having like this existential crisis, like just waiting in line for my food. And it's like, that's, I don't know. So that's the way my head works, and it's like it's really overwhelming sometimes, and it upsets me actually. So
So,
I don't
Colin,
know. I don't know.
if what I'm
Yeah,
hearing here, to cut you off, is that tomorrow there's going to be a LinkedIn post. Last Friday, I was getting a burrito in the airport.
exactly. There's going to be a tweet chain one of 42 tweets,
There you go.
and it's
Yep.
what I learned from watching people at the airport. Yeah,
At the
exactly. No,
airport. But let me just throw this out there because, like, legitimately, what you just said, everybody, we're on this earth. We got one shot. You got here. I mean, really, do you want to? I mean, essentially, it's new age slave labor, right? You're getting
it
paid
is.
just
It is.
enough to have these aren't even golden handcuffs, right? And like these people, like you said, they're the hardest working. Let's just take some control back, right? That's the goal. Take control back and
That's
like
why
don't
that's
fall into the new trap of like, all of a sudden it's like now you're stuck. Now you're always on, right?
bingo. That's a great way to put it, Wayne. Is like is entrepreneurship is a path out of that trap, but it's also a really easy web to get caught up into as well. And so like it sucked because life is like full of these like little trap doors and it's full of these like catch 22s. But you just have to be aware of it. And people can bust their ass for many years and never make a dollar with entrepreneurship. And that's the kind of the flip side of it is like not everybody's successful and like that's why a lot of people don't do it. I will say what I taught the students last week at Emory, they always ask you like, what's one lesson for new entrepreneurs or people thinking about starting their own company? And I always tell people if you're thinking about it, what you're doing right now in your current job is your worst case scenario. Because if you start a company and you fail, you can just go back to doing that thing that you're really good at and that you've been doing for a number of years. And once you realize that your current case scenario is your worst case scenario, and I don't mean that as like an insult to your current case scenario, I mean that like it's freeing to think that
Bring
like, oh, I'm already in my worst case scenario. Like this is the fallback. This is the backup. I think that becomes very freeing to be like, all right, I'm going to go take a risk and take a chance and give up 6, 12 months, maybe even as low as 3 months of income in order to go try this other thing. I think that can be very freeing for people to be like, oh, I'm already in my worst case scenario. And it makes it a lot less scary to know that like if you fail, you just go back to doing that thing that you were already pretty good at.
I think that's super, super freeing. Super well said. Colin, you're doing some awesome stuff, man. And so, along the theme of the show, right? Like, I feel like we've been talking about kind of what legacy is, right? Once we're gone, what happens, what is left behind. I'm curious, what's your definition? What does legacy even mean to you?
Uh, there's a lot of you- uh, everybody gets forgotten. Everybody, you
Yeah.
will at some point. Somebody will say your name for the last time. Um, Legacy to me is just about what you leave behind for the rest of yourself on this planet. I really believe that we're all the same organism. I think that we're all literally the same biosphere, every tree, every insect, every person. I think it's one representation of life in our little corner of reality. And I think that we're all connected to each other. Um, Literally, like we all have common ancestors, right? And we all branched off from the same instance of life at some point in the past. For some of us, it was very recent, right? Like your brothers and sisters, you were very very recently bifurcated from them in time. And for other people who lived in the past or other organisms that you bifurcated from billions of years ago, like there's more distance between you and other parts of you. But when you look around the world and you meet other people and you see the nature around you and other animals and plants, those are all pieces of you, and you are literally interacting with other pieces of yourself on a daily basis. And when you look at it that way, you realize, like, first off, like you don't really die, like you just go somewhere else and you become, part of other things. But also, like what you leave behind for the other parts of you, the other pieces of you, I think is your legacy. And like, do you want to make life better for yourself and for those other pieces of you. And that's, I mean, that's what Jesus was saying, right? Like, it's so funny. Jesus is very clear. He's like, love thy neighbor, your neighbor is you. Like, your neighbor is you. Like, you are each other. You know, like, he's literally like saying the
Yeah.
quiet part
Yeah.
out loud, like,
Yeah.
you are your neighbor. And so I think that when you look at the world like that and you see that, you're never really gone, you're never really here. Um, you just got to make things better for yourself and for others. Um, and you have to have that love for other people. And so that's what legacy is to me is like when I'm gone, the world will be some tangible way improved for others. And not just people, but all creatures and the earth itself, because I existed. And that's what legacy means to me. Because it's not about my name. It's not what people say about me. It's not how long it is until somebody says my name for the last time. It's just about is the world better now versus then before I got here. So that's all. That's all it is.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful, Colin. I mean, I really want to say like you read my mind, but there's no way that I've ever had those thoughts in that pattern before. The end outcome was the same.
I like,
Um,
it's funny. I'm sure there's another answer to this. It's like legacy is setting up a trust so your kids can avoid the estate tax. Like, it's
no,
like, like there's a,
yeah, 100. You know what's funny though is that
that's
I don't judge anybody's answers, but what I'm
sure.
finding more and more is the answers that come out from successful entrepreneurs is the answer that you just gave, right? And I think that's why I love this show so much. And that's why I came around this theme is that everybody thought for some reason, oh, legacy, especially in business, is setting up a trust, is getting your name on a skyscraper, right? Leaving generational wealth. But yeah, what we are
So
showing is that the new definition of legacy, only thing you can do is leave the world a little bit better than when you got here because every single person's name will be forgotten. Fact.
yes, always, exactly. And it's funny, even a notorious capitalist like thug like John Rockefeller, who ruined people's lives, taking over their businesses and was ruthless. He donated 20% of every dollar he made. I think it was 20%, to clean that money. You know what I mean? Like to spiritually clean the money. And that to me is like really also important is like if I had just done this and sold widgets on the internet for the
Mm,
last 7 years and it was just about making the next sale and always about selling the next widget, I wouldn't want to be here anymore. Like I wouldn't want to be around, right? And so like for me, we've planted tens of thousands of new native trees in areas that need reforestation, the donations to the World Wildlife Fund, to Earth Justice, to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. My dad had prostate cancer at one point, and my whole team shaved their beards for No Shave November, and we donated a bunch of money to prostate cancer charities. Like that stuff is really important to me because like otherwise like, what's the point of getting out of bed in the morning again, which is hard on account of the sheets. So
Colin, what a great wrap around, man. Hey, in case somebody hasn't told you recently, thank you for everything you're doing. You're actually making a huge impact on this world. Like, it's really great to meet entrepreneurs like you. And for anybody out there listening, if they want to go find out more, go support you, where the best places for them to go.
if you want to get a new set of bed sheets, sheetsgiggles.com. If you want to overhaul your resume, do some mock interviewing, sheetsresume.com. And then I'm Colin D. McIntosh everywhere. And I'm pretty easy to find, just Colin McIntosh on LinkedIn. But don't expect to see too many posts from me. So, but yeah, you can connect with me. I'm always happy to help out or do what I can to help somebody who's on their journey.
Beautiful. Colin, thanks, man. That's a wrap.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
Awesome.
having me. I appreciate it. Fun conversation.
Awesome. There it is, everybody. That's a wrap. Thank you for being here today. Please go check out Colin online. Go check out Sheets and Giggles as well as sheetsresume.com. He is making such a huge impact on this world. I just love it when we're able to so directly share our mission of Journey to Legacy, redefining what the word of legacy means. It's not about making money and capitalism. It's about leaving this world better than we found it, right? Actually making a meaningful impact on everything around us. Colin is such a great example of that. Thank you all again for being here today. I appreciate it. Come check us out over at journeytolegacy.org, where we want to help you make a really big, meaningful impact on this world. Until next time, you've been listening to Journey to Legacy. I'll see you soon.